Hello, welcome to the Index Sports Show for October 29th. I'm Blake Toppmeyer, Editor-in-Chief of the Index, and Jack Nicholl, Sports Editor, Brent Foster, Assistant Sports Editor, Football Beat Writer, joining us today. We'll be looking at the football game from Saturday. The Bulldogs lost 30-24 in overtime against Emporia. Truman took a 24-21 lead midway through the fourth quarter. Emporia kicked a field goal to tie, forced overtime, and then the Hornets won in OT. Bulldogs fell to 1-8 for the season with the loss. Jack, Brent, what did you guys think of the way Truman played on Saturday against Emporia?
Well, first of all, this was a game with worst two teams in the conference in the standings. So this is a game Truman really had to win to gain any momentum in the season. And they really just made too many mistakes. 3 interceptions, 3 lost fumbles, and you can't expect to do that and win against any team.
Yeah, Jack, the 6 turnovers is obviously a huge problem. And the thing is, they all came at key points in the game. And they pretty much all seemed like left points. In the first half, Truman could possibly sit on the ball, go into half a 7-3 lead. Instead, they decide to go for it. Phil Davis is hit on the pass, ball hits the ball, ball ends up in the air, and Emporia comes down, they score 2 plays later to make it, a 9-7 game at that point. Late in the third quarter, Caleb Roberts fumbles the football deep in Emporia territory. Bulldogs appeared to be on their way to the end zone to take the lead there. Then Bulldogs had a chance to ice the game, and SM Occupy fumbles the ball on 4th down. Would have had the first down, probably would have won the game if he holds on the ball there. So all those turnovers just cost the Bulldogs to it.
You guys talked about Davis a little bit. He missed four weeks of the season. He was back. Brent left the game with an apparent shoulder injury in the second half. Did you get any word from Coach Blecko after the game what his situation was?
Yeah, Blecko said after the game, Davis approached him and said that he was ready to go back in the game. He felt fine. Davis, after talking to the training staff, they decided to hold him out just because they didn't want to take any chances, injuring his shoulder anymore. But Blecko did say he probably could have gone back in the game. That's the game that they held him out just to be on the safe side.
His first game since family weekend when Truman played 4 days. Jack, how did Davis look back at the quarterback position on Saturday?
Well, he was only 7 or 17, 2 interceptions. I mean, you can give him some slack because he's been out for 4 weeks, but he only had 68 yards, played for about 2.5 quarters. And against a team like Emporia, those stats have got to be a little bit better. Sure, maybe he was coming back after 4 weeks, but it still could have been a little bit better, I think.
On the running game, Vanessa Magpie had another solid performance, 23 carries, 117 yards at back-to-back 100-yard-plus rushing games. But interesting thing with the Magpie was he really didn't start getting the ball a lot until Davis left in the second half with an injury. Jack, what did you think about that? Should Vanessa have been given the ball more early, or was that the right move?
Well, I think you have to see what Phil Davis can do coming back from injury. And you give Davis a chance, and they were forced to, Davis was injured, so they were forced to then seek another option, and they gave it to Vanessa in the Wildcat. Seemed to work out pretty well. But I don't think early on they should have given him the ball much more, maybe a little bit more, but I think later in the game, giving him the ball was the right choice.
Jack mentioned the Wildcat, Brent. Vanessa had a lot of success out of that. Is that something Truman, can we expect to see that from them in their final 2 games this season?
I would expect to see it a little more. I don't know that for a fact, but I would say, especially if Phil Davis doesn't come back, I see them becoming almost one-dimensional. Blecko hasn't seemed to have a ton of confidence in the other quarterbacks this season, which was evident after Davis and the Bulldogs attempted only 2 passes. So, I definitely think that Magpie is going to see the load the rest of the season, especially if Davis is not able to play.
You mentioned Caleb Roberts came in and attempted only 2 passes, yet one of those passes was in overtime. Truman got the ball first in overtime. 3rd and 7 at the 22-yard line, in field goal range. Roberts threw a fade pass up for grabs. Kind of confused me why Roberts is throwing a fade up to nobody in that situation. Jack, any thoughts on that play? Do you pass the ball in that situation?
Well, 3rd and 7, they can certainly try to run the ball again. The Wildcat was working well. Other thing with Roberts is he's shown inconsistency with targeting the ball. And having to throw a ball 30 yards in there like that, that pass was way off target. It was a pretty easy interception. I think it might have been better to swing a screen out to Vaness. They were trying to get the ball to him and then let him work his way through the defense.
Yeah, I agree, Jack. Blecko said after the game, he's the play call just trying to get the ball to his best player, most athletic player, which is Vaness. Obviously, hoping he can make a play on the ball. And if the pass was a little better thrown, maybe farther towards the sideline and deeper, I think Vaness probably would have had a chance. So I think Blecko kind of had the right idea there, just didn't get executed.
Bulldogs, as we mentioned, sitting at 1-8 for the season, have yet to pick up a conference win. Coach Blecko in his first season as head coach, when he was hired last spring after Shannon Currier was dismissed, Athletic Director Jerry Wolmering gave Coach Blecko that interim head coach label. That seems to have kind of faded away somewhat now. But Jack, sitting at 1-8, do you think Blecko's job status is certain for next year with Truman, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, Jerry, of course, did not renew John Sloop's contract 2 years ago, so he is known, or he has fired a coach for underperforming. But with football, it usually takes more than 1 year to turn a program around. Another thing is, Blecko was the offensive coordinator last year. Sure, the offense has gone down a little bit. They're averaging about 40 yards less per game. But the other thing is the defense has also been allowing more yards. So it might be a combination of and it was interesting, Blecko told us that Shannon Currier was a defensive head coach. So missing Shannon Currier, maybe hurting the defense as well. But it's a little bit of both, a little bit of the offense, where Blecko is part of, a little bit of the defense as well.
Brent, have you got any indication on Blecko's status, or does it seem up in the air at this point?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I assume, like usual, it'll be I believe every coach's status review during the season, so I assume this will be no different than any other coach here.
Mm-hmm. Bulldogs do have two more chances to pick up a conference win this weekend. They'll be on the road at Washburn. Washburn, a team that's 6-3. What can we expect when Truman faces Washburn on Saturday?
Yeah, Washburn's a pretty solid football team. They run the ball real well with the conference rushing, and just to kind of put a little perspective, they took Northwest to overtime this weekend. The team Truman lost 7-0 too. So, kind of Washburn is a very competitive and very good football team.
Certainly a tough weekend ahead for Truman. Jack, Brent, thanks for the analysis on the game. And be sure to join us next Thursday for another edition of the Index Sports Show.